Let me get back to the issue, however, of black conservatives. And I've touched on this subject on many, many occasions, and I'm going to touch on it now, but never before have I touched on this subject the way that I'm going to right now. There's a lot of times it could be a Candace Owens. It could be a Larry Elder. To a lesser degree, it could be a Byron Donald. I remember Armstrong Williams. He's been out there for many, many years. I've known him for many, many years. Even to a lesser degree, somebody like Sage Steele, who used to work at ESPN and now, helped the Trump campaign. And who knows? For all we know, I don't think she's interested in it, but who knows? She might end up being press secretary one day. I don't know. Whatever it is, I hope she does well. I wish her well. Sage and I got along. Let me say this. Over the years, we've seen a level of vitriol emanating from black conservatives to a point where people who are not conservative vilified them because of it.
You know why? Because being a black conservative in America is like being like the heel faction on wrestling or being the villain. You know what I'm saying? Like being a black conservative is like being the villain. People don't like you. People don't respect you because of your beliefs. It's like, when you're that family member that everybody despises because you don't fall along everybody's trail. Like everybody's going one way, but you decide to go another way. And Stephen A is starting to realize that. And the sad thing is that he said he's an independent. He's voted for all these Democrats. But why is Stephen A starting to sympathize with these conservatives? Maybe it's because he's thinking like a conservative. Let's continue.
I was never down with that. I'm a registered independent who primarily votes Democrat. There have been several occasions I've been tempted to vote Republican, to vote conservative. Hell, some of the times I regretted I didn't. And who knows what the future holds with me with some of the nonsense that I saw from the left, particularly leading up to this election with woke and cancel culture and all of that stuff. But that's a different story for another day. Here's the point that I want to make. While finding myself wishing that the inordinate amount of black conservatives that have been out there and are still out there would sort of dial back their vitriolic responses to the venom that's been thrown in their direction, I've rarely blamed them. Because you got people in here looking at folks from the conservative side who happen to be black, calling them sellouts and coons and all of these kind of negative connotations, showing them no respect as human beings just because you don't agree and side with their ideology. Who the hell are you? Most of my friends are liberal. Some of them are conservatives. I have no problem with any of them. All I want to hear is what your point of view is and why. And if you make sense and it's fact-based and it's not dominated by emotion trying to usurp the facts, I'm good with you.
But see, that's the thing though, Stephen A. You got to realize that people who go against these conservatives and say these conservatives are coons and all these things, the reason why they say this is because it's emotion-based. You know it's emotion-based. I know it's emotion-based because when I was on the Democratic plantation, you did the same thing. I was emotional. But then as I did my research and I realized that, hey, not everything these conservative, especially black conservatives, say isn't with fact-based. I respect Candace Owens. I may not agree with everything she says, but I'm the type of person that is open to dialogue. And that's the problem with a lot of people, especially in the black community. They're not open to dialogue. And that's going to keep the vitriol to black conservatives at an all-time high, especially now after Trump won. And the amazing thing is that now you're starting to see a lot more blacks switch over to the conservative side because they're starting to see that the Democratic Party has lost their ground with the middle class. Let's continue.
Even if I don't agree with you, because I know your position is based on fact. And for folks outside of the conservative community to look at people who are black and excoriate them just because they're conservative, who the hell are you? Where are your facts? There's a lot of history that goes into stuff. You can see it one way or another, but it's undeniable that bipartisanship played the role. Civil rights legislation, voting rights legislation, affirmative action, and things of that nature. Conservatives did play a role in some good things that happened in our society. The left and Democrats have been hypocritical in certain respects. So if we're going to call balls and strikes, call balls and strikes. But we didn't do that. And we never do that when that comes to black conservatives. And don't use this as an opportunity to say, Stephen A., oh, he's a conservative. Well, damn it, I'm not yet, but I might be one day because I don't like the shit I've been seeing. But my voting record says otherwise. This is not about that. This is about us being grown-ups and being respectful of other people's positions and feelings and taking a moment to inhale and digest what the hell they're saying and deciphering what's true and what isn't true before we take a position.
They can't do that, Stephen A. They can't do that. See, what you're speaking is actual facts. What they want to do is they want to discredit the person without even listening to the facts. I'm with you 100%. I'm not always with Stephen A., but I'm 100% with Stephen A. on this one. If a person has a good argument that's based on facts, I will listen. Doesn't matter if the person's on the left or the right. I've had discussions with people on many occasions about my political beliefs, and a lot of people don't believe me, or a lot of people, they hate on me or whatever, but I don't care because I know for a fact I did my research. I tell people all the time, even in the midterm elections, do your research on these candidates. A lot of people, especially in the black community, don't do their research. So they'll vote for somebody out of just spite. You know why Trump won? Trump won not because of, you know what I'm saying, not because Kamala was a bad candidate. Trump won because people started to open their eyes and realize what was going on in America. Let's continue.
It's important that we do that, but we haven't been doing that. And then we wonder why black people in this country are the one disenfranchised community that exists in this country. You know why? Because we don't demand that you flatter us. Let me explain my position even further.
Oh, let's see. Yes, it is.
If you go to buy a house, do you buy it without looking at it, walking through it, probing and investigating before you decide to make that investment? Do you do something like that with a car as well? Don't you do it with clothes? Don't you do it with any purchase that you get? But when it comes to politics, no such thing. So in other words, the vast majority of black Americans in this country, particularly since 1964, have basically said, the right, you know what? You ain't worth a damn. We don't like you. We don't trust you. So guess what? We ain't giving you our vote. We can't come together for shit.
Yeah.
Under most circumstances. But suddenly with politics, 85, 90%, etc. Oh, we gonna roll with the left. So what you've done is you've disenfranchised yourself. Why? Because the left know they have your vote and you're not going anywhere. And boom, you don't have to cater to African-American needs.
Yeah, exactly right. Like, the sad thing is that the Democrats have been running this since 1964. He's right. Lyndon B. Johnson said it in the 60s. He said it, implemented welfare and all these different things, and black folk ran with it since the 60s. But because before LBJ, a lot of blacks voted Republican. blacks were a big base in the Republican Party. Then after the 60s, they switched over to Democrats. And then over the years, Democrats found out all we got to roll out Bill Clinton playing the saxophone. He roll out Barack Obama. You know what I'm saying? Decided to do the same thing with Kamala Harris. Is now got hip to the game. People do research. And you get mad because you don't do your research. I guarantee you, if people actually did their the candidates votes, let's have a stronghold on the black community. Don't the Republicans or the Democrats have a stronghold over the Latino community? Why don't they have a stronghold over the Asian community? Why don't they have a stronghold over the Muslim community? Because those people do their research.
And on the right, you're like, we ain't getting their vote anyway. So let's pay attention to the constituent that's going to put us in office. Either way you slice it, this one gives you little representation because they're taking you for granted. This one gives you little representation and no representation because they know they don't have your support anyway.
Yeah.
And why are the other communities successful? Because I don't give a damn whether it's Cuban, it's Dominican, it's Venezuelan, it's Guatemalan, it's Puerto Rican, it's Mexican. I don't care what it is. You're Asian. You're the Jewish community. An abundance of white folks in the United States of America. Somehow, some way, everybody successfully goes about the business of making sure they tell you, show us you're worthy of our vote before we give it to you. And as a result, you have to cater to them. We don't do that. We don't do that. And that's where we made a mistake. And even though black conservatives may not do that to the degree that we like, in the end, what they're doing is they're bucking the system.
Yeah. I totally agree, man. They're bucking the system. And the sad thing is that, and I've said this 1,000 times, man, we as black folks have to realize that we have to do two things. Number one, we got to look at ourselves and say, it's not about the party. It's about the candidate. Is this candidate the best candidate for us? We got to do our research. You know why Jewish people, they hold a lot of the wealth in America? Because two things. Number one, they work hard. And number two, the people that they put in power are going to do things that are going to help their community. Why do you think the Latino community is on a surge as far as financial gains and all these things? Because they put candidates in office that are going to work for them. Why do you think Asian Americans get loans for businesses and all these things? Because the people that they put in office do things for them. We don't do that. We as blacks don't do that. And it's sad though. Hey, it's your boy Jay here with another video. If you like the content, hit that like button. Also, the subscribe button on my road to the first 1,000 subscribers. Let's get the conversation started. It's Stephen A. Smith, right about black conservatives in America. I got another video on the side for your viewing pleasure. Until next time, folks, I'm out.